There's three critical questions that have to be answered when you're delegating. And so if you sit Bob down, you say, Bob, I want to delegate this task to you. Bob needs to know why this task is important. Because if Bob just thinks you're unloading crap you don't want to do, he's not going to have any ownership or buy-in on that. So the understanding of why. So I remember one time sitting down with an assistant that I'd hired years ago. I spent 3 or 4 hours explaining to her in her training email. So we're sitting at the desk elbow to elbow, and I'm showing her email and how to do newsletters and how to handle email. And I'm 3 hours into this, and it's been brutal. And she was taking notes, and she's a smart lady. She was going to get this all figured out. But I stopped for a minute, and I looked at her and I said, let me take a minute and explain why this is important. And as I started explaining the why, because the technical part she got, but when I started explaining the why, she was like, oh. And so it was in that moment of understanding why and how this fits into the whole puzzle of the business, it made her a better operator of that particular task. The second question is how. How do they do it? Now, a lot of entrepreneurs would confuse this by saying, I'm going to micromanage and tell them exactly how to do it the way I would do it. And sometimes that's necessary. If we're talking about very technical stuff, maybe you're in the medical field, like there's certain ways you have to do things and you can't do it whatever the hell you want. You got to do it a certain way. But what I mean by how is let that person know what tools and resources are available to accomplish it, and then let them kind of figure out their specific spin on it. The third critical question is one a lot of people miss. And this is when, like WHEN. When is this due? I tell a story in my book about an entrepreneur named Cheryl, and she had delegated a task to, let's call him Bob, in her company. And she said, here's why and here's how, but she didn't give him the when. And what ended up happening, about 6 months, Bob was completing the task, doing exactly what he was supposed to do. But when Cheryl was looking at her revenue numbers, she realized that something was really, really off. I mean, tens of thousands of dollars were off in the P&L. And she went to Bob and said, look, I thought you were doing this task. He said, yeah, boss, doing it every Wednesday. And she says, no, this has to be done on Mondays. And it ended up costing her tens of thousands of dollars. Bob did it. He just did it late. So people need to understand, when you delegate, you got to answer the why, you got to answer the how, and you got to answer the when.